Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. My name's Trevor Lane. Keith is feeling a little bit under the weather, so I thought I'd jump on here solo, though, and talk a little bit about Thunder against the Pacers. What a rough game that was, as well as the NBA trade market, kind of what's going on right now as we're getting closer to the NBA draft. Not going to be a super long show. I've got Lakers Nation live in just under 40 minutes. I'm going to have Scorpio Sky joining me for that. We'll focus on the Lakers stuff over there. So be on the lookout for that one if you're a Lakers fan. But let's talk a little bit about this game, what happened. Thunder, now one win away from an NBA championship. Look, I'm not surprised. It was my prediction going in that the Thunder were going to win. Frankly, I'm surprised that it's going 6. I thought it was going to be 5. But that's, credit to the Pacers for how good they've been, how tough they've been. But you know what? When you look at this game, this is how the Thunder win, right? I mean, this is it right here. Aside from, look, Jalen Williams, 40 points. Obviously, that's going to be a bit of an outlier, but credit to him for an incredible performance. And same thing with SGA, dropping 31. Obviously, he can do that any night, but still getting 71 points combined out of Jalen Williams and SGA, that's a bit extreme. But otherwise, defensively, like you just kind of look and say, yeah, this is what the Thunder do. This is what they are. They have ramped it up for the playoffs, obviously, and for the finals, but it's the turnover discrepancy. 22 turnovers for the Pacers to 11. 22 to 11. The Thunder defense just locks down every time. I thought, oh, here we go again. The Pacers are going to make that run, that fourth quarter run. Here we go. This is going to be a game. And the Thunder's defense turned it up. They forced 4 turnovers back to back to back to back. And that was it. OKC's defense, it reminds me a little bit of the game 6 in 2020 defense the Lakers threw at Miami. Maybe not, ironically, also featuring Alex Caruso. This was a tremendous, Caruso, 1 of 8 shooting, but 4 steals. The Thunder's defense is just so damn good, and it's going to win them a championship. It's going to win them a championship. I can tell you what, I'm not going to totally count out the Indiana Pacers. I'm not going to count them out and just say, that's it, they're done, it's over. I will say, if Tyrese Halliburton is hurt, it's over. That's it, right? I mean, Halliburton 0 for 6 in this game, 4 points, all from the free throw line, 7 boards, 6 assists. If he doesn't have it, if that calf leg thing is going to prevent him from being himself, that's it. That's ball game over. It'll get done in Indiana. That said, this Pacers team's been so tough. They've fought through so many things. They've mounted some of the most insane comebacks we've ever seen in NBA playoff history. So I can't totally count them out. But, I mean, this series, if Halliburton's not Halliburton, going to be tough. Going to be tough. Pascal Siakam did what he could to keep the Pacers afloat, but 6 turnovers. Again, it's the turnovers that are the problem for the Pacers, or at least were in this one. I would expect the Pacers are going to come out firing to start of game 6. Ultimately, the Thunder will wear them down, and there will hit a point. There will be a key moment in game 6 where the Thunder are either going to take the lead and that's going to be it, and we'll see the Pacers tap out, or the Pacers will build up enough of a lead to where we just know we're going to 7 and the Thunder never really make that comeback push. I could see it playing out either way. My guess, though, the more likely scenario is the Thunder somewhere around the second or third quarter in game 6 take control, and then that's all she wrote, and OKC gets all the way to a title. That's what I think is going to happen. I do think they need it, as some of the chat's noting. We need to see more TJ McConnell. Yeah, 22 minutes for him. He was their best player for certain stretches here. 8 of 14 shooting, 2 steals, 18 points. Like, they may, especially if Tyrese Halliburton can't do Tyrese Halliburton things, they're going to need TJ McConnell to be absolutely fantastic, and they're going to need to lean on him more. Benedict Mathurin, my goodness, he makes so many mistakes out there. He's such a talented player, but you just so up and down. You never know what you're going to get from him. So I do think they need to find more consistency there. But you know what? This Pacers team, they're so tough. They can come back. It feels like they're never fully out of things. But I do wonder if tonight was the nail in the coffin here for them. All right, let's go here. T. Kodak, Rick Carlisle, awful coaching decisions, benching McConnell. Yeah. Again, I was not in favor of benching McConnell. I thought he should have played him quite a bit more, especially when it was clear that Halliburton was not himself. You needed to see more of TJ McConnell. Look, it's the finals. If that means you've got to play McConnell 30 minutes, you play him 30 minutes. Doesn't matter what your rotation was. Doesn't matter what your game plan was. You got to adjust. You got to react to what's going on in game. And if the best path is TJ McConnell, then you play TJ McConnell. That's it. End of story. Yeah, the Neesmith turnovers. Yeah, they were rough. They had the turnovers late. Nemhard had a bad turnover too. The Thunder, they win games not necessarily with offensive explosions. They win games with live ball turnovers. By forcing live ball turnovers, they crush you there, and they wind up with a great turnover discrepancy in their favor. And it makes it really tough. It makes it tough when you do all the math to really win the game. I mean, look at OKC. 94 shot attempts. Pacers 82. And that's with the free throws being similar. 30 free throw attempts for the Pacers, 32 for the Thunder. Free throw attempts are similar. You're getting an extra 12 shots for the Thunder. That's game right there. That's game right there. An extra 12 shot attempts for the Thunder? You can't have that. It's too big of a discrepancy. Too big of a discrepancy in a game like this. That's where the turnovers just absolutely are brutal. And it's because this Thunder defense is so good. And look, no wonder it's just so good. I mean, Jalen Williams himself is a phenomenal perimeter defender, but then you add in Lou Dort. SGA does a great job defensive. I mean, 4 blocks for SGA. Good Lord, 2 steals. And then off the bench, there's no let up. Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso. Caruso shot horribly, but it didn't matter. 4 steals. 4 steals for Wallace. Unbelievable. This Thunder defense is insane. I even thought Chet Holmgren, despite shooting 4 for 13, had a pretty good defensive performance, had some nice blocks at the rim, 3 blocks in this game. He did some good things out there. Look, this Thunder team, they're going to be a very deserving NBA champion. They've been the best team in the NBA all season. The advanced metrics have all shown it. Everything has said that this team is that good. I know people still doubted them because they hadn't done it before. But you know what? This is a very good team. They're going to be a very deserving champion, and they're probably going to be around for a while. 32-9 points off of turnovers in favor of the Thunder. How crazy is that? And what's even crazier, though, the fast break points, just barely in OKC's favor. You would think the fast break discrepancy would be massive too because of the turnovers, but 17-13. That's a credit to the Pacers for getting back the way they did, but still 32-9 in points off turnovers. That is the game. Unbelievable. It's not over yet. No, you're right. It's not. It's not. And if anybody's going to come out firing in game 6, execute perfectly on the offensive end and push this thing to game 7, based on the resiliency that we've seen from this Pacers team throughout the playoffs, could argue it's them. It would be them. That would be that team. So I'm not saying it's done. If Halliburton is injured, if Halliburton can't be Halliburton, then it's really going to be tough because he's been the engine for a lot of these big Pacers comebacks. But I'm not going to totally count out the Pacers. I do think, though, the Thunder are the better team. And more often than not, in the NBA, the better team wins. And that's where we're now headed with the Thunder up 3-2 in the series. Mr. TD said, all right, ready for Lakers talk. Well, that's coming in a half an hour. I'll be with Scorpio Sky over on Lakers Nation. But the other thing, and again, I'm not going to be on here for super long because I do have that show coming up. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, because obviously that finals game, it was a great game by the Thunder. We need to make sure we acknowledge it. I know, I get it. Fans of 28 teams have already moved on. The season's already over. They've moved on. Yes, it's the finals. Yes, we're going to watch it because it's NBA basketball. But fans of 28 teams have said, yeah, let's talk about the offseason. What's my team going to do? Who is my team going to trade for? Who is my team going to add in free agency? All of that. So I get that. Right now, and The Athletic, Sam Amick, Kelly Iko just had a piece that came out about the Kevin Durant trade front. It really does feel like everything in the league right now, even though we just got yesterday the Desmond Bane trade, everything seems to be circling around this Kevin Durant trade. And really what it's all coming down to at this moment is what Studio Stu got to say? I don't know. He's sitting right over there though. He's hanging out right now. Right now, Kevin Durant has 3 teams that he would prefer to go to. With one team, it was just revealed. I'm talking like an hour ago that stands above the rest, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. That's the team Kevin Durant wants to play for, according to The Athletic. However, the Spurs, of the main teams that are in the mix, the Spurs, to me anyway, feel, based on the reporting, the team that's least interested in Kevin Durant, or least, desperate's not the right word, the least motivated to go land Kevin Durant. But nonetheless, KD wants to go to the San Antonio Spurs, and part of that could be his college days in Texas and all of that. But the Rockets, the Spurs, and the Heat, those are Kevin Durant's three teams that he would prefer to play for, the three teams that he is putting out there that he will sign a contract extension with, and that's going to matter in trade talks. However, seems like San Antonio is not really that determined to go get Kevin Durant. In fact, the team that's most determined appears to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. In fact, there was a point yesterday where the Wolves had the best betting odds of getting Kevin Durant. The Wolves have wanted Kevin Durant since the trade deadline this past year, but up to this point, Kevin Durant has decided he does not want to play for Minnesota, doesn't want to be there. Maybe it's the cold weather. Maybe it's the tax situation with the Texas teams and the Florida teams. Maybe that's something. For whatever reason, though, Kevin Durant, to this point, does not want to be a Minnesota Timberwolf. In fact, Shams Charania has said earlier today, very matter-of-factly, that Kevin Durant does not want to play for the Wolves. This is the most motivated team right now to go get him. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat, they're making offers. The Houston Rockets, they're making offers. But right now, the Suns are telling everybody, not good enough. The offers the Heat are making, the offer that the Rockets have made, the standing offer they've reportedly made, it's not good enough. And so right now, you've got the Suns letting everybody know, yeah, we've got these offers, but they're not good enough, hoping that someone else will bump up their offer. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant is telling every team that isn't the Heat, the Spurs, or the Rockets that he's not going to stay. That can certainly diminish the trade value that teams are willing to give up in order to get Kevin Durant. We look at the Wolves. Will the Wolves give up something built around Rudy Gobert plus stuff? Plus, I don't know, maybe Rob Dillingham, something like that, built around that? Are the Wolves really going to give up all that to get Kevin Durant for 1 year and then he's going to walk away? Is that really what they're going to do? I'd be surprised. So that's where Kevin Durant has a lot of power in all of this. He can really steer his landing spot by just saying, hey, I don't want to be a Toronto Raptor. Toronto, I think, has a really interesting trade package too. RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, the number 9 pick in this year's draft. But if Kevin Durant says, no, I'm going to leave, maybe the Raptors do it anyway. And they say, you know what? We did it with Kawhi and it worked out just fine. We got a championship out of it. Maybe we roll the dice again. Maybe they do. But Kevin Durant can say, hey, Toronto, yeah, you can give up Jakob Poeltl. You can give up RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickly. You can give up that number 9 pick, but you're getting me for a year and then I'm gone. Then if you're Toronto, do you stop and you say, well, do we really want to lose the number 9 pick for 1 year? Kevin Durant, and that's it. That's the power that Kevin Durant has right now. And again, currently, it's the Spurs, it's the Rockets, it's the Heat. Those are the teams he wants to go to. But the Wolves appear to be the team that want him the most. Meanwhile, the Suns telling everybody that the offers so far have not been good enough. And I think what's happening is the Suns are trying to get these other teams to up their offer just a little bit. I think there's a key piece or two that the Suns want in these deals, and they're waiting until someone blinks. However, time is not on the side of the Phoenix Suns. No, it's not. The reason why is because they want to do something before the draft. The clock's ticking. The draft is coming up quick. So with the Suns wanting to get something done before the draft, and that approaching quickly, they're going to have to make a decision sooner rather than later, especially if a draft pick is going to be a key piece to this trade. When we talk about the number 9 pick from the Toronto Raptors, maybe it's the 10 pick that ironically used to belong to the Phoenix Suns. That could be coming their way from the Houston Rockets. You look at the Spurs have the 14th pick. Could they get involved with that draft pick? The Miami Heat have the 20th pick. So if draft capital is going to be a key part of this trade, the Suns need to get this done sooner rather than later. They got to get this done so they can figure out what they're going to do with that pick. Now, it's always possible. Look, I mean, Houston could pick someone at 10 and a week later trade that player to the Suns. They could do that. But usually you don't want to do that. Usually you don't want to do that because the player that the Rockets may have at the top of their board when the 10th pick comes up may be a completely different person than the player that the Suns would have at the top of their board when the 10th pick comes up. So because of that, you want the pick to be in the hands of the team that's ultimately going to make the selection. That's what you want. So I think this is going to come to resolution sooner rather than later. But right now, very clearly, the Suns are trying to drum up better offers than what's out there right now. They gave up a ton to get Kevin Durant, and they want to get more in exchange for him. And maybe the Suns will just have to bite the bullet, and they'll have to say, you know what? We're not going to get everything that we want for a 36 going on 37-year-old Kevin Durant. We're just not. And they've got to take a trade package that's a little bit less than what they want. But right now, it does feel like the Suns, they're playing the game. They're playing the game, and so are all these other teams. They say, no, we don't want to give up all this stuff. KD's going to be 37. No, we're not going to give up all this stuff. But very clearly, the Suns want Kelly Ware if it's Miami, right? They're going to want certain things. Maybe it's Jabari Smith from the Houston Rockets. Maybe it's Stephon Castle from the Spurs. They're waiting for one of these teams to blink and put in the stuff that they really want. Meanwhile, the teams that Kevin Durant doesn't want to go to, the Raptors, the Wolves, might have more compelling offers. And so then if you're the Suns, do you just say, all right, I don't care what Kevin Durant wants. If these teams are willing to roll the dice on him, we'll do it. We'll do it. I can see Kevin Durant coming to the Knicks. Well, the Knicks are rumored to be a team that is not interested in Kevin Durant. They don't want to bring him in. And I think we're trying to match salaries. It gets tough to do it with the Knicks without giving up pieces that they simply don't want to give up. So Castle's not going to the Suns. No, I wouldn't send him to the Suns either if I were the Spurs. I would not give up the second overall pick or Steph Castle if I'm the Spurs. That doesn't mean that's not what the Suns want, though. Doesn't mean the Suns can't say, well, we want that. They can ask for it. But no, if I'm the Spurs, I wouldn't give up that stuff either. I would give up that kind of stuff for Giannis, but not for KD. Do you think Miami should throw in Ware and trade for KD? Because it seems like it's the main holdup. It does seem like it. It does seem like Kelly Ware is the holdup for the Miami Heat. I think Miami's in a weird situation. They're in a weird situation. I do think that Tyler Hero, Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo is a better trio than Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. So I do think that you could make the argument in a very depleted Eastern Conference that Miami Heat team could make some noise. He's still going to be 37, though. So if I'm Miami, I'm doing what I can to try to hold on to whatever assets I possibly can. I know I'm probably going to have to give up, the 20th pick in the draft that Miami has. Now, that's not as strong, obviously, as the 9th pick or as the 14th pick or certainly as the 10th pick. But if I'm Miami, I'm giving up that 20th pick plus the salaries that would come back. Are they all that enticing? Is Andrew Wiggins all that enticing? Maybe not. The rumors are out there that Jalen Green could be a piece in the trade from the Houston Rockets side if it's a Rockets deal, but that the Suns would probably take Jalen Green and flip him somewhere else because a Jalen Green, Devin Booker team doesn't make a lot of sense. So they'd move him somewhere else. What would they do, though, with Andrew Wiggins and Duncan Robinson? Like, Andrew Wiggins is a fine player, but is the 20th pick being the main value piece for your future that you're going to put alongside Booker? Is that good enough? If you're the Suns, no, probably not. You probably have to get Kelly Ware in the deal. So yeah, if I am the Suns, Kelly Ware's got to be in the deal. And if I'm the Miami Heat, I'm doing everything I can to not put him in the deal. But push comes to shove, maybe I do it. Maybe I do it because I think you look at the other assets they've got available and they're just not as good as what other teams have. They're just not as good. And Sean mentions here, Suns should just blow it up. Why keep Booker? I agree. Man, I agree. I don't think the Suns should even be hanging on to Devin Booker. Like, what are we doing? On one hand, you can look at it and say, well, but Tyrese Halliburton is the best player on a team that's in the finals right now. Sure, that's fair in the East, but that's fair. But is Devin Booker likely to lead you somewhere as the number one guy, as your 1A, we're building around this dude. How far are you going with Devin Booker? I'd say probably not far. Probably not far. And it's not like Devin Booker is super young. Book's going to be 29 the start of next season. It's not old. He's certainly in his prime. But are you looking at Devin Booker and saying this is the foundation for a championship team? No, I don't think you are. He's a very good player. I was really impressed with Book with Team USA last summer. I thought he did a phenomenal job. Thought he was better defensively than I thought he could be. So I don't want to try to take anything away from Devin Booker, but do you feel great about building around him as your 1A guy? I don't. So I look at the Suns and what they're doing with Booker and saying, no, he's the guy we refuse to move off of, especially with what price was just paid for Desmond Bane. If I'm the Suns, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, if I come off of this, and I trade Devin Booker, and I trade KD, and I burn this to the ground, I burn it down Seth Rollins style, we can truly be the Phoenix rising from the ashes. We can get a bunch of future picks, a bunch of future capital. They could probably get, I don't know if Houston still wants it. The rumor's been that Houston's not as interested as they used to be in Book, but they can probably get their picks back. Now, Booker's been saying he doesn't want to leave Phoenix. He loves it in Phoenix, and I don't blame him. Phoenix is a great place when it's not 120 degrees. But I would have to consider, if I'm the Suns, I think they should consider it. Move Book, move Durant, burn it down, and go from there. Bradley Beal, let him expire next year. If he loves Phoenix that much, cool. You can stay. Look, I don't blame Bradley Beal. He says his wife and kids love Phoenix. Great. I don't blame him. Phoenix is awesome. Don't move. Yeah. Bradley Beal doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to move. That's what the no trade clause is for. He's fully within his right. It's not his fault. But how bad does he want to stay in Phoenix if everybody else is gone? I don't know. Maybe wife and kids loving it in Phoenix is enough for him to say, I don't care what the team looks like around me. I just want to stay here. I want to live here. Cool. More power to you. But if I'm the Suns, I look at this and say, okay, we have 2 more years left with Bradley Beal on the books, but we can move all these other guys and we can get value. We can get value for Grayson Allen. We can get value for Royce O'Neal. We can get our picks back. David Putney, because they feel like it. And there you go. I just think that, to me, we've been talking about this. Keith and I have. Who will be the surprise seller on the market? Memphis was already one because there's so much demand. There's so many teams looking to buy. Somebody is going to be a surprise seller on the market. And then Memphis already popped up. And with what Memphis got for Des Bane, I mean, I like Des Bane a lot. I would rather have Devin Booker than Desmond Bane. If I look at that return and I say, man, can I get something of that caliber? Can I get something better? Can I get 5 firsts back if we trade Book? I consider it if I'm Phoenix. But right now, it seems like the Suns are so determined, so stubborn to not move on from Devin Booker that they're going to continue to try to build around him, even when everything else says they shouldn't. Again, I think there's an argument to be made for some team in the West, maybe multiple teams in the West, to look around and go, how many teams are trying to make the playoffs next year? Screw it. Let them all fight it out. Give us a bunch of picks, and we're going to build the next 10 years of our club. And by the time we're ready to roll, some of these insane teams are going to start dropping off. Maybe things will change in the West, and then we're going to be ready to rise to the top. That's the situation that I think that the Phoenix Suns could be in if they were willing to move Devin Booker, but they're not. Clips were okay. Don't think they're going to get their assets back. Might as well try to milk another season or two. Sure, the Clippers. Yeah, I mean, the Clippers, you've got Kawhi. You've got, like, the Clippers that will probably align James Harden's new deal with that of Kawhi Leonard, and they'll run it out, right? Like, are they likely to win the whole thing? I don't know, but they're in the mix, by the way, for Kevin Durant. They're supposed to be in the mix. They'd be using Norman Powell They don't want to move Ivica Zubac, which I don't blame them. I would not trade him for Kevin Durant either. I wouldn't put him in that deal. Not after the season he just had. But Derek Jones Jr., Bogdan Bogdanovic, Norman Powell, building a deal around those 3 contracts. Sure, if they can get Kevin Durant for that and then say, we got a 2-year window. James Harden, align his contract with Kawhi, with KD, and off you go. And injuries probably derail you because they always have. I don't know if KD wants to play with James Harden again either. But if you're the Clippers, yeah, you've got a 2-year window, and then you can truly reset things in the summer of 2027, start really building for the future. That's where the Clippers are at currently. So if they go get Kevin Durant, okay, go get him and keep him for a couple years, align him with Kawhi and Harden, and then you move on. You flip things from there. Because at that point, KD's 39, Harden's 38, Kawhi's 36, but we all know he's really like 57 with the number of injuries he's had. So I could see an argument for why the Clippers could get into the mix too. But most likely the Clippers, they're kind of stuck, right? They could try to trade Kawhi. They could try to trade him. But really, are you really going to move all those guys? Probably not. Your probably best bet is see if you can catch fire in the playoffs, see if you can get everybody healthy come playoff time. Try to be in the mix for any kind of future talent that you can get. And just play out the next couple of years with these guys in your new arena. You don't want to be this losing, terrible team in your new arena anyway. Play out the next couple of years and then truly reset things from there. I think that's what makes the most sense. The Kings need to blow it up too. Yep. Agreed. They need to, but they won't. Because they tasted the playoffs like 2 years ago. And then they missed it for 17 years before that. So now they won't. They won't. By the way, Zach LaVine shot 45% from 3 on the season. Good Lord. He had a phenomenal year. But the pieces don't fit. Sabonis, DeRozan, LaVine, it doesn't fit. Even if they go get a point guard, it doesn't fit in Sacramento. Sure, they can score on teams, but yeah. I think they'd be best off moving some of those guys. The pieces don't make sense. They can move. Obviously, the ideal would be to move DeRozan. Who's buying, though? Who's buying? But Zach LaVine was fantastic. And it's unfortunate that he's not going to get recognized for how good he was because he was with the Bulls, because he was with the Kings, and they just didn't make any noise. Let's go. We'll do one more. One more, and then I got to get ready for the Lakers Nation live show. I think the Kings jump on Drew Holiday and send back DeRozan or something like that. That might make sense. I mean, they do need a point guard. The problem is, like Drew, he's what, 35? I don't mind Drew Holiday, 35 years old, but defense tends to drop off quickest. So you could wind up with that could be a bad contract in a year or two with Drew Holiday. So that's what you have to be careful with. You look at DeRozan, though. If I'm the Celtics and I can turn Drew into DeRozan and his contract, knowing he's non-guaranteed for that last year, maybe that makes some sense, especially if I can route DeRozan to a third team and really try to cut salary. That would make some sense. I also look at a guy like Marcus Smart. Do they go after him? But ultimately, I mean, really, whoever you get's got to be an ace defensive player if you're going to try to really give this a go in Sacramento. And look, they can score. There's no question they can score. I just don't know if they're going to be able to stop enough teams built the way that they are right now in Sacramento. All right, everybody. As I said, I got to go get ready for the LakersNation.com live show. I'm going to have Scorpio Sky on with me. So I'll be there in just a moment. Are the Pistons buying? Yeah, I expect the Pistons to be a buyer. I don't know about on Rui, but I do expect them to be a buyer for sure. I think the Pistons will. I think the Pistons are one of a handful of teams that are going to look around in the East and say, why not us? Pacers made it to the finals. Why not us? Why can't we make it? I think they'll be a buyer out there on the market, which is essentially what Orlando just did when they went and got Des Bane. All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you for joining here on the NBA Front Office Show. Make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will be over on Lakers Nation in about 8 minutes. So hopefully I'll see you all over there, Lakers fans. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.